Okay, season 2024 is over for Collingwood, so now we get to do the unpleasant task of going through the list management strategies and let's discuss and put certain players in certain tiers in regards to whether they either remain at the club, should be traded, or should be delisted. So we've created the tier list here, and just to make things easy and to have a reference point with where everything is at, let's put just who is most likely to be delisted just to give us some easy reference points. I think Aiden Begg hasn't had much luck this season injury wise, but he's had opportunities in years gone by. He's been on list for a few years now. He's an undersized ruckman, and in the VFL they've trialled him as a forward slash ruck, and probably haven't got the return from him that we're hoping for. And he was a player that we actually picked up in one of those mid-season drafts. So just one of those experiments that hasn't quite worked out, and the injury was probably the final nail in the coffin for someone like Aiden Begg. So we'll put Aiden in the D list at the moment. Trade. Oh, this is not easy. I guess Joe Richards probably, just because of what's transpiring at the moment. So that will be Mr. Joe Richards there. And who is a definite keep? You know what? Some people are talking about Kruger's, position being in jeopardy at the club. Multiple amounts of people discussing this, and I can't see a world where Kruger gets delisted. I think Collingwood almost owe him the opportunity to further, prove his point and prove his worth next year. He's overcome that many injuries and constantly finds himself back in the team and is accepting of the role that he's asked to have been played, whether that's in the VFL or the AFL. One of, Kruger's downfalls when it comes to his opportunities and trying to prove himself to play AFL is he doesn't play the VFL as well as he can in the AFL. However you want to try and make sense of that, go ahead. But I truly believe that Kruger is a better player in the AFL, particularly in a year like this season for the VFL side. There's been so much lack of continuity from personnel element, and that greatly affects the synergy in your team and the way you move the ball. So what you get from Kruger in the VFL is still his ground ball, pressure and ability to win a hard ball below the knees. But what you lose is those, easy link up chains and opportunities to take contested marks. So I think he deserves another opportunity next year. I've really liked what he's done at AFL level this year. I'm actually surprised he didn't play in the last few weeks. I understand against Melbourne, the weather was pox, so you could probably assume that Fly wanted to go shorter to try and move the ball as quickly as possible and get marks outside the back, which ended up happening to trend that way. And yeah, I mean, who's he up against next year? You got Brody Myercheck, you've got Dan McStay, and then you got, of course, who did I say? Brody Myercheck, Dan McStay. Then you got Darcy Cameron and Mason Cox who will be rolling forward. So I see where the challenges lie ahead for Nathan Kruger, just because that forward line is stacked at the moment. I think there's an opportunity for Krugs to play in the back line. We're looking externally for a key position backman from other teams. I think don't knock this guy until we try him in the back line. I think he has a lot of potential there and could really be that second string key backman to Darcy Moore. So those are our three players that will be the lay of the land and give us reference points to sort of go from there. Let's start with who we got. Reef McInnes. I think Reef McInnes is somewhere here for more reasons than one. Personally, for me, I want him in keep, right? But I think at the moment, because of his lack of opportunities and the fact that he's a jack of all trades but a master of none, kind of shoots himself in the foot when it comes to opportunities at AFL level. So if I am Collingwood's list management team and I'm getting an okay offer from rival clubs, what is an okay offer? I mean, you can't see Reef going for even a second round draft pick at the moment just because he's unproven in the longevity front of the AFL. So if we're going to trade him, we're going to lose him for lesser than what I think his potential is. That's why I want to keep him. But it's just a matter of how we're going to find a spot for Reef McInnes in this side. So I think he's played in the back line over the last couple of weeks in the VFL. So they're trialing that. But I don't know. I truly don't know. Because then you got TJ, Dimatia, Josh Dacos, John Noble. He'd be a third key tall backman. And at the moment, that's being occupied by Braden Maynard / Jeremy Howe. So you can see the troubles that and frustrations that Reef would be going through right now. Let's go with Oscar Steen's a keep. I think he still has a bit more to show. He hasn't been on the list as long as Aiden Begg, if I'm not mistaken. Hands up, honestly, I don't know a whole lot about Oscar Steen. I don't know enough about him yet, but I know that there is potential about him. And he had a really good VFL year in 2023. And he's been injured for the most part of this year due to ongoing foot issues. So I think he remains at the club. I think that will be an easy one for now. And then Josh Eyre is probably a keep for mine. He got signed in the supplementary period in the preseason and unfortunately did a hamstring tendon, so missed half the year. He missed a couple of games through injury in the VFL as well. I remember watching him play against, it may have been Carlton or someone of the sorts, and he had injured his leg in the first quarter. So he has been deprived of continuity, similar to a lot of players at our club this year. But standing at 6'6", there's potential there, and I think key position stocks is something we want to try and invest in. So keep Mr. Steen at the Collingwood Football Club for another year. Jack Bytel, I kind of want to keep this man as well. How much has he shown? Has he shown enough? I don't know. But I just know that this guy was prized coming into the AFL when he was initially drafted. It was derailed by back injuries, back surgeries. What I saw against Richmond was really promising. And he's versatile in the sense he can play midfield, he can play on the wing. He's a hard runner, he's big-bodied. I think there's a little bit more in him. I'm not super optimistic, but I know there's something in that guy that, to me, I'm not willing to let go of just yet. And I don't know if you guys see it, but I feel something. That's the only way I can describe it. Jeremy Howe's another keep. He has hit his clause. I think he needs to play 14 games this year to get an extension, and he has done that, and he's passed in flying colours form-wise anyway, so why get rid of this man at this very moment? Still side bottom, rumoured to get another year, and after his last few weeks in the midfield, why would you even think about delisting him? I know early in the year I said this could be his final year, let's bleed some of the youth in, but what's changed? His position has changed, right? So when I said that, he was playing on the wing, he was playing on a half back line. Wasn't, I guess, playing very well there. And I said, let's play the youth. But come to now, I don't actually think our youth is that abundant. So while we wait for new draftees to come in and TJ and Dimatia and McGuan and everyone else in between, give them a little bit more time to develop and keep these veterans around them, I think it's worth its weight in gold. Let's go with Ned Long. I think Ned Long at the moment, has he shown enough to remain? He's shown glimpses. I don't know how high his ceiling is, but coming in through the mid-season, I think he deserves at least a little bit more time at AFL level. And for that reason, I'm going to keep him there. And I think while our midfield doesn't particularly run deep right now, and I mean, there's a few midfielders there, but I suppose with De Goey's injuries, Mitchell, Pendlebury, side bottom, I think we need to keep some of these younger midfield stocks, even though they may not be necessarily up to it at the moment. I think we're going to need that if we've got these older players rolling through the midfield. Okay, and now down to the final two, and I think Lockie Sullivan. I think this is going to upset a few people. I think Lockie Sullivan gets delisted. He's 26, 27 now. Had an amazing couple of years at Footscray in the VFL. Was arguably the best player in the league. He's come to Collingwood. He did well in his first couple games at AFL level, then sort of simmered down and has regressed to the mean of what a preseason supplementary pick can, return to. And he's a midfielder, but when he's played in his last couple of games and in the VFL as well, he's come in as that small pressure forward. And I just think we have a myriad of options there before we need to consider someone like Lachie Sullivan. And I'd rather, if we're going to play someone like Lachie Sullivan in the forward line, I'd almost prefer Reef McInnes, Joe Richards, Jack Bytel, Ned Long rotating through that position themselves, because we already have Bobby, Bo, and Lachie Schultz to apply the pressure. So, and then Brody Myercheck and Dan McStay are excellent at ground level in crashing and bashing, applying their own pressure despite being key size forwards. So I don't know if Lachie Sullivan fights to see the next season. Let me know in the comment section what you think about that. And at the same time, Charlie Dean, I say in between, but when I say in between, I mean possible contract for this one. I don't think he gets traded necessarily. I don't know if he has any of that value. I just haven't seen his VFL form necessarily translate to AFL form. However, I think most of you will agree, right, is we will just need to give him next year as an opportunity to prove himself. But you've got to bear in mind, if we're looking for players outside of the club to take that second key tall back position, then you have to wonder, well, is Charlie Dean going to fight to see next season? So that's where we stand. So we've got 2 delisted. We've got to remember that Josh Carmichael has retired, so that spot has already been emptied out. So is there another one in there? It could be a Charlie Dean. It could be a Ned Long. It could be a Jack Bytel. But that's where I think the list stands at the moment, which will make room for our drafts and trades and whatnot. So, yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comment section. I'll try my best. First time I've done this, so just go easy. Go Pies.